Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. It is the 19th of October, 2023. And thank you, as I abruptly turn off the music. It was supposed to be a little less abrupt than that. Okay, welcome to today's show. It's nice to have you here, and it's also very nice to have my guests here, my old friend Larry Paska, who is the Executive Director of the National Council for Social Studies, NCSS, at socialstudies.org, and he's brought with him the President of the National Council of Social Studies, who's a teacher at the Teacher Collegiate School in Richmond, Virginia. That's Wesley Hedgepeth. Wesley Hedgepeth. Okay, and I'm looking forward to talking. That's a lot of E's in your name, Wes. We're going to talk about this, okay? Wesley Hedgepeth. Can't wait to meet him. Okay, we're going to talk about their upcoming conference, okay, which is coming up in Nashville in early December. We want you to think about going. So and I'll just say this. I'll say it a million times. Being the old social studies teacher that I am, social studies is more important than ever. More important than ever these days. Okay, we all know what's going on out there. So let's pay attention and let's get cracking on social studies. We're going to archive this show over at ace-ed.org, and that's the home website of our American Consortium for Equity and Education. Everything we do over there is free. Our magazine, Equity and Access, our Excellence in Equity Awards, and, of course, all the podcasts like this one are over there. Check it all out. It's all free. No big deal. ace-ed.org, and you'll like it. And, first of all, good morning to Mr. Paska. Hello, Larry.
Good morning, Larry. It's good to hear from you again. How are you?
It's a pleasure to have you back on the show. I'm really enjoying this. We're going to have a great time talking today. Okay, Larry? And Wesley, I got to talk to you. Wesley, are you there?
Good morning. It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Are you kidding me? It's my pleasure indeed, Mr. President. And I just realized how many E's are in your name. Wesley.
Let's not talk about it because if you include my middle name, which is Everett, there are a few more E's.
Wow.
I apologize.
Literally, as I was saying it, I thought, wait a minute, this is like a lot of E's, all right? Wesley, it's a beautiful name, by the way. Wesley, you should run for office. What a great name.
Thank you. It's the easiest way for people to spell it. The only vowel is E, with sometimes Y.
It's wow, it's incredible. And, you know, listen to this, Larry Paska. Wes, okay, to run, your first name is Wesley. Your middle name is Everett. You could write "We the People." Right? I love it.
I think that's a great start for a political campaign.
There you go. I'm telling you,
great
the time
social
is
studies
now.
connection.
All right, I love it. And, can I call you Wes, or do you like Wesley? What do you like? I know Larry.
You can call me. I'll answer either way.
Okay, you're happy with Wes. I like to shorten, so we'll do Wes. And it's a pleasure to have you here. And are you current president, or are you going to start the presidency at the conference? How's it work?
I am the current president since July 1st, and my term runs through June 30th of next.
Okay, and is Larry allowing you to use Social Studies 1, the private jet, as you mentioned that to you?
Oh, yes, lots of luxuries in this position.
Yes, as I know, he hasn't shared the jet with any of the past presidents that I know of, for goodness sakes. So it's time he did, right, Larry?
I thought we weren't going to talk about the jet today.
Sorry about that.
Remember I told you it was in for repairs? It was
slip of the tongue. Forget anything I said about the jet. Okay? And happy 103rd conference, 103rd anniversary. I'll say it like that. And Larry, I got to tell you, don't look a day over 102. It's terrific. Congratulations.
Well, you know, it's a diet of a lot of coffee. That's how we do it. So.
Keep up the good work. Okay? And listen, you know, I have said, Larry and I have had many, many conversations about this. Social studies fell by the wayside for many years as schools leaned towards STEM. And they forgot one thing, that everything that you do in engineering or science or medicine has to do with society. Okay? You don't believe me? There's an impact and connection on that. Okay? All you have to do is look at the pandemic. Okay? And see the results and how what STEM does matters to science. Nothing moves unless society, okay, allows it to happen or needs it. Okay? That's social studies. And it's the history of civilization okay? And in today's current political environment, whether you're Republican or Democrat, okay, we have to make sure that we have good citizens. Social studies more important than ever, okay? So with that said, Larry, you have like 9 months left on your presidency. What's your leadership vision with all this? And feel free to take everything I'm saying and run with it. I didn't say Larry, I meant Wes. No, that was for Wesley.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much. So our conference theme this year is Social Studies, Working in Harmony for a Better Tomorrow. And that couldn't be a better through line for my presidency. And our sub-themes, again, are also places that I really want to focus our attention this year. And the first one in particular is about inclusive social studies and looking inward. Who are we? Looking outward. Who are our neighbors? Elevating hidden histories, celebrating difference, learning from one another, embracing difference. So that's really important for me. It's also important that students, see themselves in the subject that's being taught. And our second sub-theme really hits on that. This idea of social studies is local. It starts at home. And Nashville is such a great city to use as a case study for the history that's happened there and how we can tie that to larger narratives such as the civil rights movement. But students just feel much more attached and engaged and willing participants in social studies when they feel that they're heard, seen, and valued. In addition, we really understand that, again, working in harmony, we want to put that into action by building partnerships with our friends in ELA, other humanities. Tim, you mentioned, right?
Thank you.
Civics and social studies are everywhere, and by partnering, we can better prepare students for the life that they're going to lead. We also recognize that social studies transcends borders, and I can say borders in quotes, that we're talking about political borders, we're talking about ideological borders,
absolutely.
We're talking about borders between the walls of the classroom on inside and outside, right? How can we improve and connect to one another to again, create a harmonious society? And we would be remiss if we didn't think about the future, right? And so what's the future of social studies? And that could be in assessment and pedagogical strategy. We could talk about the future of social studies with teachers, especially pre-service, early educators. They really need our support, and not just for recruitment, but for retention. And so what can we do to really support them? And again, that idea of being felt like they belong, how can we make sure that they belong and they feel like NCSS and other types of national associations meet their needs?
Yep, absolutely. That's a lot to do. So how are you going to, and I know it's a lot to ask, it's a big question, how are you going to cover all this at the conference? What do you see as the main focal point? I want to ask it that way, okay? Because you call it working in harmony. Is it harmony means inclusive education? Harmony means working with other departments within your school. Okay, and Les, just let me ask you, what do you see as the main focus, if I may, just to target it all in there? How do you see it?
Yeah, I think you could see our intent by the speakers and the over 500 presentations that you'll see at our conference. We were very intentional about who we included in the stories that we wanted told. That's from LGBTQ individuals, that's from BIPOC individuals, that's from old, from young, from all walks of life. And again, this idea of inclusive social studies, and for people to see themselves in our conference is really important. And I mentioned that about students earlier, but teachers need to see that too. If we're trying to be an inclusive bunch, then we need to put our money where our mouth is. And so we need to really, walk the talk, or talk the walk, or whatever you want to say. We need to do it. So So that's one of the goals is, again, to be providing such diverse and inclusive social studies professional learning that we meet our goals.
Yeah, and I truly hope that all works out. It's really important. And both you went down a whole sub list of people and groups that you'd like to see there, and both Larry Paskin and me, Larry Jacobs, want to thank you for mentioning the old. Thank you. That was a joke. Okay. That was a joke.
Sorry, Larry.
The two Larrys speak out on that. Nah, I'm only kidding you. You know that, Mr. Paskin. All right. It's just amazing. Well, talk about, this is to Larry. Talk about, and you after that comment, you've been there a long time.
Right.
Okay? Yeah. You've been there a long time, 102 years now. Okay?
102 years, yes.
Yeah. Over the past 10 years, and kind of we've known each other, whatever it is, the past 9 years, whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay? Talk about how the importance of social studies has changed. And the way I'm kind of relating it in my head, schools all over the country starting maybe in the mid-90s through about 2015 or so, they were so concentrating on STEM, okay?
Right.
And social studies kind of, if I may, though not really, kind of became less in people's minds. Oh, this isn't as important as we teach the kids STEM. Okay, over the years that you've been doing this, how have you seen that change? Because I keep saying it, I'll say it again, it's social studies is more important than ever. What's happening? Yeah, just you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, a brief history lesson in 3 seconds.
Go.
So, I mean, we had, I think it's fair to say that with the development of learning standards in all subject areas, including social studies in the mid to late 90s nationwide, that was a real impetus for our discipline to, have guidelines, have curricular frameworks revised, state assessments done, starting with the implementation of No Child Left Behind 21 years ago, 2002. You saw this massive focus very quickly pivot to literacy and math in instruction in schools, particularly at the elementary level. We were tracking the erosion of social studies in instructional time and the number of courses available.
Erosion of social studies. Yeah,
it is erosion, but it
is erosion. You're right.
It's not a gradual beach erosion. It's a hurricane came through and the cliff.
Yeah, and wiped out the cliffs.
Yeah. And so when I came to NCSS, actually my 7th anniversary was last week. So
hey, congratulations.
Well, thank you. But
You're welcome,
when I came 7 years ago, it was how do we fight for this relevance of reminding people the importance of instructional time. Yeah. We worked with groups like Council of Chief State School Officers to focus on core recommendations to build back the program, and so that was a constant refrain. We were fighting to get airtime with the media about social studies, and then between the pandemic, with George Floyd's murder, with a massive social reckoning around anti-racism, racial justice, social justice, equity, suddenly we did this massive pivot. And for a brief period of time, I would say between 2020 and 2021, we were focused very heavily on what do teachers need to be successful. Schools are shut. Kids are struggling. Teachers are struggling. What can we do to help? There was that massive focus early on. And then suddenly it pivoted in 2021 to 2022 to this notion that teachers are indoctrinating kids, bad things are happening, they're not learning the right history.
Emphasis on the word notion. Yeah, notion. Yeah.
Right. And so the tension we're fighting now is we still have the erosion of social studies in schools. In fact, the RAND Corporation just issued a report last year on the missing infrastructure for elementary. We had the NAEP scores that came out last year, which showed flatlining and declining achievement for students in history and civics. So we're still trying to message that, hey, wait a minute, it's not being taught sufficiently equitably across the country, while at the same time this public message of it's being taught all wrong, kids are they're being indoctrinated, bad things are happening. So you can't have bad things happening when things aren't happening at all. At the same time, you want to shine a positive light on what good social studies looks like and how it is such a profound discipline to support a well-rounded education for kids. And so I guess that's where our attention is right now in 2023. And so as Wesley's describing working in harmony, For us, it's continuing to double down on the partnerships and the relationships we do value. In fact, this year, Wesley and I are doing a roadshow. We're going to a few other association conferences and inviting those associations to do the similar panels about collaboration at ours. So we'll be working with the Anthropology Association, the Historical Association.
Right.
Those relationships are critical. Our affiliates and states are critical. And our continued partnerships with, media literacy educators, English educators. We're working on content with English language learners. Those partnerships are important, but I can't stress enough, Larry, that, we still have the erosion issue to deal with, while at the same time helping to turn the public tide that here's why good social studies is so critical to invest in, and your understanding and perception of what's happening, just let's change that, because I don't want to say you're wrong. I want to say that's not what's happening. Here's what's happening, and let's invest more in what's happening.
Absolutely. And I have to talk to you both about your conference again coming up, in Nashville at the beginning of December. And at socialstudies.org, I have it linked, everybody, on this one website, but it's socialstudies.org. And two things, we always think that the social studies convention, just the social studies teachers should go. Okay, and they should, and the department heads should go. But also the directors of curriculum need to go. Superintendents need to go. They have to see what, if this is the correct statement, they've been missing. Okay, and what they've been missing is hurting us right across the board. Okay, and we got to get the right people in there, school board members, to understand how important this is. I mean, I cannot say enough and emphasize that enough, that I hope enough people see the challenges we have. And again, those challenges are on the right and the left. We have to, but our schools teach, and we have to be able to give the right information out there and let kids think and make their own decisions properly. I mean, it's that simple. And I got to talk to you guys about the guests you're having. And two of them, you can talk about some of the others, but two of them are fascinating. One of them, Isabel Wilkerson, need I say more, the author of Caste, the author of The Light of Other Suns. Okay, she's absolutely incredible. And the other one, which is timely for today, you know what I'm going to say, Wesley? Timely for today.
Oh, gosh.
Wes?
I don't want nothing to be wrong. Which one do we want to talk about?
David Grann. Okay? David Grann.
Sure.
Oh, man, you guys nailed him coming in to speak. Is he coming in to speak?
He is. Yes, he's going to have his own session.
Wow. That's going to be mobbed. He's the writer, and I read the book. I read a couple of his books, and I want to read the new one. I got it on the library list when it comes in, which is The Wager. He wrote Killers of the Flower Moon, and the movie's coming out. That's why I said today. It's coming out, I think, tomorrow, Friday, okay? And 3.5-hour epic, David Grann's book. And he's coming to the NCSS conference. He's coming.
Yes. Yes, he worked with the director Scorsese and Leo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. Star-studded cast. So we're thrilled to come to be a part of the conference.
Yeah, that should get about 10,000 people there, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, and again, Killers of the Flower. And I have to ask you this: you also got a person from American history, Nathan Hale. Okay, I'm only kidding. Okay, but Nathan Hale is not that one. Okay, but Nathan Hale is an author as well. You guys got a lot of great stuff coming at the conference. By the way, I have to tell Mr. Paska, you always do. You always do have great stuff at the concert. Marty Stewart, the country singer, is coming. What's he going to talk about? Larry? Wes?
So Marty is going to talk about his career, but he also is working on some new projects. So I'm excited for him to share those, getting kids excited about music and cross-curricular connections, which is exactly what we want at our class.
No, and music fits so beautifully into social studies. Social studies.
That was the
especially the music from where he's from. He's a Philadelphian like me, but he's Philadelphia, Mississippi. Okay, and I'm Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Okay, and it is just so when you look at the music from the South and the Appalachians in particular, I mean, that is so built into the culture. When you look at where I am from, Philadelphia and South Street and all the sounds that come out of the Philly, it's built into the culture. It holds cultures together. It holds society together. I mean, I just love the people that you've gotten together for all this. Okay, I really mean it. It's just I'm trying to really push the convention for you. It's really going to be great. Yeah.
And Larry, hey.
Yeah. Wes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole theme of harmony comes from this idea of music and harmony, and so of course we also want the social studies to work together in harmony to create beautiful music. But that's why we decided that music was central to our conference. We also have Baldwin Chu, who is the subject. He and his family are the subject of the documentary Far East Deep South, which talks about the Chinese experience in the Mississippi Delta, but just happens that he's also a rapper and a beatboxer, and he goes by the name Only Juan.
Wow. Okay, and I'm looking at his picture right now. I had never heard of him before. You just mentioned him, and I was just looking that up when you brought it up. It's real. I'll tell you, it paints such a. What you guys are doing, I hope you know this, and I think you do, is painting a nice picture of America. In the topics you've chosen and the people you're bringing into the convention, okay, and it's just a great piece of work for both of you. Both need to be congratulated on that one. I got to tell you, it's just great. Larry, we always talk about this. Talk about advocacy. Not everybody can get down to the convention, but everybody can advocate for better social studies social studies, what's the word I'm looking for better social studies. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Now talk about the advocacy part of this.
So there's a couple of things that we
and NCSS. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. In the past year, we focused very heavily on how to navigate the political landscape of social studies. And that involves taking a look at, who are all the people who are stakeholders in social studies. And really where that's kind of morphed now is trying to understand how is it people, how can we meet people where they are in terms of their understanding. So I think there's broad concern that, and I do this exercise a lot with different groups. I'll ask people, I'll put the term STEM on a screen and I'll say, what does this term signify to you? What does this mean to you? And, usually groups will shout out, funding, relevance, importance, school curriculum standards, they'll say all these big words right away. And then I'll say, okay, then I put the term social studies on the screen. Oh, what does this mean to you? And what's interesting to me is I'll do this in front of groups that aren't social studies professionals and groups who are. And typically the responses take a couple seconds longer to come. They may be a little quieter. And they're definitely, important, urgent, relevant, necessary. And then suddenly the floodgates start to open. And so then my question is, all right, so is this also an issue of branding? Do we need to make sure that we have a clear public understanding of what social studies is, but it can't be a long, convoluted understanding. It has to be something that, another thought exercise piece I like to do is, if you are stepping into an elevator and you're going to the top floor and the person next to you, maybe it's a movie star, maybe it's a politician, maybe it's a parent in your community, maybe it's the school superintendent, whoever it is, who is that person? And if you're connecting with them, how in 10 seconds can you really make the elevator pitch for social studies, for what you do as a professional, what the profession's about? So I want to see our advocacy pivot in this way because, again, this gets to the fact of not just pushing back with saying, you've got it wrong, this isn't what we do. We don't indoctrinate kids. We don't teach this, whatever. But instead saying, here's what we do. Here's what social studies is about. And here's our 10-second appeal to you of why what we do is so noble, so vital, so urgent. I really encourage all of our listeners, think about if you were to talk about social studies, whether it's an experience with your children or with your teachers or as an educator or if you're a listener who works in schools, think about the experience you have. How would you tell someone what social studies means to you in 10 seconds or less on an elevator? And if you can step away with them saying, I wish that conversation could continue. I want to get to know that person. Then we've done our job and we're starting to make the inroads we need. So I'd like to see our advocacy and to Wesley's point about working in harmony, part of that harmony is saying we are a discipline of multiple disciplines, but we require all different types of people, from celebrities to politicians to frazzled parents in a supermarket line, to have kind of a clear construct of what social studies really is and how it works to help our society, our kids, and go from there. And so, going back to our speakers, I hope that that's not just reflected in the speakers we have this year who represent all the different aspects and career paths that touch social studies, but then look at our sessions, look at our workshops. And one last thing is, we've become such a year-round professional learning organization. The conference is a major anchor for us, but our work is also year-round. We are doing dozens of webinar programs. We did 6 summer institutes this year. We published 3 journals. We have books. We have awards. We have an honor society for kids. All of this is what makes an association run.
That's right.
But it's that 24/7 attention to this that we just want to get the public consciousness to have a kind of a branding of social studies in a very different way.
Yeah, and that was a great talk, and I hope that works. I have another question, and I'll ask Larry, but Wesley might want to answer it because he is a social studies teacher. Okay, again, a teacher collegiate school, which I believe, Larry, it's an independent. Wes, it's an independent school, right, in Richmond? Am I correct?
It is non-affiliated independent school.
Yeah, okay, good. Look good. I went on the website, so I thought it was pretty cool. I just went over there pretty quick, all right, and saw it. How do we get the kids, and Wes, maybe I'll ask you this, okay? How do you get the kids that you're teaching and that your friend colleagues teach interested in becoming social studies teachers? Okay? Like everybody, there's a teacher shortage, there's teacher retention problems, the world is changing. How can we get kids excited about becoming educators, and specifically in this case, social studies educators?
That's such an important question, Larry, and such a tall order, especially in this climate when teachers are vilified, and often in the news we talk about the challenges that teachers face, and we hear about the pushback. In Virginia, in particular, we just had our social studies standards adoption process, and that was messy. And so, in getting students interested in a career that that has so many hurdles, it's really challenging. So I think we need to work on elevating the career, elevating the position as a teacher, and that's something that I'm committed to, and exciting people about it. And if I get a glimmer of interest from a student, then I latch on to them, and I'm making sure that I follow up with them and really help to nurture that interest. But I have to say, it is a challenge when we are in a society that generally does not value educators like a lot of our peer countries do, and that includes with equitable pay for we make roughly 70% of what our equivalents do as far as college preparation in other fields, right? So the professionals who have comparable education, they're making $1 to our 70 cents. And so it's hard for students seeing in this, and also in this environment where things are getting more expensive, and it is difficult to make ends meet, to go into a career that, again, I find, and so many educators find, so incredibly rewarding.
Sure.
How do we demonstrate that to students? It's difficult.
It is indeed, and it's a problem, by the way, every discipline has. Okay, some worse than certainly some worse than social studies, and of course math. If somebody's good in math or science, they're going to go into engineering or whatever the case may be. It is very difficult,
right?
Okay, to get teachers in here and get them to stay. Okay, where you get the experience behind. How long have you been teaching, Wes? Forgot to ask.
This is my 15th year.
15th.
15th year, yes. So I the way I got hooked in was my methods professor. I went to James Madison University here in Virginia, and my methods professor was insistent, rightfully so, that we get involved in our professional associations. And every mentor that I've had has encouraged that. And before joining the board of NCSS, I was the president of the Virginia Council, our affiliate here in the Commonwealth, and planned our annual conferences as well, and stood up for social studies education here, and I really loved it. And another mentor of mine suggested that I run for the national board, and I'm so thankful and honored to be able to hold the position. And so that's why the future of social studies is so important, because we've really got to support those pre-service teachers, those early educators, because they're leaving by year 3 or 5 because they're burned out. They don't have the support. They recognize that the income they're making is not sustainable to their locale. They might find that the pressure and the workload is just not worth the paycheck. It's really difficult, again, to when we're talking about numbers and quantifying things for individuals, when so much of our experience and the joy that we get is anecdotal, is that, again, you get to see your students succeed, and you get to see them smile when their passions are ignited, or they learn something new, or they have an aha moment. I could talk about that forever, but it's a real challenge.
You did great on that, man. I got to tell you, and I think that you're a methods professor at the James Madison. They ought to put a statue of him in the quad. I mean, I never heard of anybody pushing the associations like he did, and that was so darn important. Okay, and a lot of people lose sight of that. And like NCSS, the associations are so incredibly important. Guys, have a great time at the conference. I mean, it's just fabulous. You're going to have a great time. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Wes.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Oh, it's great. Call me anytime, Mr. Paskin. We can do shows whenever. Wesley, you too. Okay? You ever want to come over here? Come on over and we'll talk again. Okay?
Thanks very much.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You take care and enjoy Nashville. I know you will. Okay? Take care.
We will.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for your support of social studies. Bye-bye.
Oh, always. Bye. Okay, guys. Well, that was great. I'm going to change Wesley's name, the man with all the E's. I love that. Okay? Wesley Hedgepeth. Okay? Wesley Everett Hedgepeth. His parents are good thinkers. All right? And Executive Director of NCSS, Larry Paskin. Thanks, guys. You do great work. And let's make social studies great again. Okay? That's the important thing. All right? We're going to archive the show at ace-ed.org. I am Larry Jacobs, and thank you for listening.